story is about a guy named Brandon. He is a sex and porn addict. From the morning to the night, he always thinks about sex and porn. One day his sister suddenly came into his apartment to stay with him, and then his life changed totally. If you guys have even a little bit of hesitation and get offended quickly by these things, then I'm requesting you not to watch the video. And if you are okay with these, then please watch the whole video. The topic of this movie might be a little sensitive, but it has such great social messages that can change our lives positively. At the beginning of the movie, we see a 30-year-old guy named Brandon. He works in the corporate sector in New York City. Brandon is a sex addict. He masturbates right after waking up from sleep in the morning, and he keeps thinking about it the whole day. He always thinks about it even if he is not having sex. He watches porn on his work computer in the office. He even masturbated many times in the office washroom. He looks at the girls with a nasty look while going to the office or getting back from the office. At night, he goes to the club to hook up with girls, and if that does not satisfy him, then he calls a prostitute to satisfy himself. He has a sister. Her name is Sissy. Sissy lives in Los Angeles, and she was continuously calling Brandon for the past few days. But Brandon was ignoring her for some reason. One day when he was going to his office, he saw a girl in the metro. The girl also looked at him. But after some time, the girl realized that Brandon's intention was not good. And then she got down from the train at her stop. But Brandon also got down from the train and started following her. But he lost her in the crowd. Brandon's boss's name was David. Even though David was his boss, they were still quite friendly. After office, they went to a club with some other friends. Then David started flirting with a girl. But the girl liked Brandon rather than David. Brandon might be a sex addict, but his way of talking and personality was so charming and sophisticated. That's why the girls would fall for him at first sight. After leaving the club, the girl gave him a lift, and then they went to a quiet place and had sex. And then Brandon came back to his apartment and saw that his door was already open. Then he took a baseball bat in his and went to the bathroom. Then he found out that his sister Sissy came here. Friends, Sissy was a singer in Los Angeles, and she was about to shift to New York with her boyfriend. But recently, she broke up with her boyfriend, and she had nowhere to live. That's why she requested Brandon to stay in his apartment for a few days, and told him she will sleep on the couch. The privacy of Brandon's sex life matters the most to him. But since Sissy was his own sister, he agreed even though he didn't want to. The next day Sissy was about to sing a song in a club in New York. Then he invited Brandon to the club to listen to her music. After office, Brandon went to Sissy's club with David. Sissy sang a song. Brandon got so emotional after hearing her sing. Everyone praised Sissy so much for her singing talent. And then Sissy joined Brandon and David. And then they had drinks and talked about their life. With this, David started flirting with Sissy. Brandon got so uncomfortable with this, but he didn't react to anything. And then all of them went to Brandon's apartment. But David and Sissy went to his room and started having sex without even asking him. Brandon heard their voice from outside of the room. He got so angry, but he couldn't do anything because David was his boss. That's why he went outside to go jogging. After he came back, he saw that Sissy and David were not home. He changed the bedsheet and fell asleep. After some time, Sissy came back home and laid down on his bed beside him. Brandon got so angry about it, and shouted at her and said, "Get out of my room." The next day, Brandon started flirting with one of his colleagues named Marianne. Marianne also liked Brandon, and she also showed interest in him. Brandon asked her for dinner tonight, and she agreed. And then they went to a fancy restaurant to have dinner and talked about their life. And then we found out that Marianne was divorced. Brandon had another intention, but he stopped himself from asking her to have sex with him. They talked to each other about many things and then got back home. After coming back home, Brandon straight went to the washroom and started masturbating. But then, suddenly, Sissy saw him doing this. Sissy found Brandon's laptop, and it was full of porn videos, and a girl was performing on a live webcam. Then Brandon came there and turned the computer off. And then Brandon shouted at her so much because she spied on him. Sissy said sorry to him, but Brandon shouted at her so much. Sissy became so upset and went outside. And then Brandon put all of his CDs, magazines, and said toys in a plastic bag and threw them into the dustbin. The next day in the office, Brandon met Marianne and kissed her. Then they went to a hotel, and Brandon took drugs there. And then they started having sex. But since he was on drugs, he couldn't satisfy her properly. That's why Marianne got disappointed in him and left. After the effect of the drug ended, Brandon called a prostitute in that hotel to satisfy himself. He came back home and was watching cartoons on TV. Then Sissy came back, and she was trying to call David on the phone. But Brandon told her, "You should stay away from him. He is my boss, and he has a family." Sissy said sorry to him, but Brandon was still mad at her. He told her, "I don't know where she will go, but you must leave my house tomorrow." Sissy said, "You are my brother. We are a family, and we should look after each other." Brandon told her, "How many times you look after me? You don't have a house or a job. You can't even clean yourself. You are just a burden on me that I don't want to bear anymore. You have no right to stay in this house." And then he left. Then he went to a bar and met a girl. He said some dirty things to her and seduced her. Then he asked her to go with him. But then her boyfriend came there, and then Brandon talked to him like a psycho. He told him, "I am about to do some dirty things with your girlfriend." Then her boyfriend got so mad at him and beat the shit out of him right there. And then he tried to enter another club, but he couldn't enter there. Then he found a gay club on the other side of the road. He was so frustrated that he didn't know what he was doing. He went to that gay club and had sex with a boy. He was constantly receiving calls and voicemails from Sissy. Sissy was begging him to receive the call. But still, Brandon didn't receive her call. He went to a cheap hotel and had sex with 2 girls at the same time. And then, in the morning, he was coming back to his apartment in a metro. But then the train stopped somewhere. Because a girl had committed suicide on the track. Then finally, Brandon got back on his senses. He left the train and ran toward his house. He was trying to call Sissy, but she was not responding. He panicked and went home. He found out that Sissy had cut her hand, and she was totally covered in blood. He was so scared and took her to the hospital. Then they treated her, and after some time, Sissy woke up. Brandon said sorry to her and then went outside and cried so much. He realized that today Sissy was about to die because of his selfishness, ignorance towards family, and bad habits. He realized his mistakes, and then he focused on changing himself from now on. The next day when Brandon was going to his office, he again met that metro girl. But this time, that girl came to Brandon to flirt with him. But Brandon has changed now. He noticed that the girl had an engagement ring on her finger, and he ignored her. And the movie ends here.